You are here because you're wondering, I have an EIDL loan, so now what? What am I supposed to do with this piece of paper? Actually, it's multiple pieces of paper. And what is my obligation to as a borrower of this loan? If you're here and you did not get an EIDL loan, this may not be the show for you at this point. You certainly can ask questions, but we have a playlist for EIDL reconsideration that you can check.
We have music, which is playing right now. How about them apples?
Okay.
I like those apples.
We already lost somebody because I am telling you that this show is going to be about what you need to know as a borrower as a loan. If you're on the replay, thank you. If you are live with us, thank you. So, Trev, there's a lot.
That's me. I'm Trev.
Yes.
That's Linda Ray.
Yes.
In case you don't know, Josh Thomas is here.
Josh Thomas is here. So,
round of applause.
If you have a loan and you've had this loan for 2.5 years,
or less.
But
if you have the COVID-19 EIDL loan.
We've talked a lot about and pontificated a lot about the fact that the payments are going to be coming due and that deferment was 30 months and we're approaching that. Forgiveness is no one is talking about forgiveness.
Well, we're sure not talking about forgiveness.
So what now? What record keeping? What responsibility? What requirements should you know about so that you are not caught unawares with this loan? So let's get into it. I got a bunch of banners.
That's what we want to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
But first, can we talk about two things, one of which came up while we were eating lunch today?
Ooh.
You remember the YouTube video that
I like lunch.
It was a very good lunch. For me, I had a cheeseburger. You had a salad. We came across we get Google alerts for disaster loans, and we got a Google alert to a YouTube video, which turned out to be from July, and it turned out to be from a major corporate level publisher.
Yes.
And the reason we clicked through on it to watch it while having lunch was Senator lambastes the SBA.
They needed to buy a vowel, but that's beside the point. Okay.
Yeah, because
Stewart.
They did not spell. Oh, we have a round of applause for Stewart. And so the headline, Senator lambastes SBA was total clickbait crap.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like they're spying on you or something strange.
It's clickbait crap. And the one thing we like to say time and again here on our little slice of heaven here in our little YouTube world is we don't do clickbait. We don't do
we also don't tell you
sensational
well, we also don't
headlines.
Tell you what you want to hear. So that's part of that's the battle.
We don't tell people what they want to hear.
That's not the allure that people, So, but besides the point, okay.
March 18th of 2020, when the COVID pandemic lockdowns shut down our little financing practice back then, when the banks called us up and said, the vault's closed, we're not lending any money. And we were trying to figure out how to pivot.
Wait.
Super sticker.
Hold on a second. We just started and we're getting a super sticker already?
I think that paid for lunch, actually, Josh. Thank you. That gets a round of applause. And since March 18, 2020, we made the decision that we were going to go out there into the world and present accurate information because I knew from the mortgage meltdown, the global recession, that all the sharks and all the scammers were going to come out of the woodwork and give folks like you misleading, incorrect, sensational headlines information. And we have stuck to our guns for 2.5 years. So we just wanted to say that again. No clickbait here on the Linda Ray and Trevor channel.
Which is why...
Which I think gets a round of applause.
Yeah. Which is why our channel, we're a little small little channel, but we like to think that we're robust in a little bit of hope and truth and reality of what you need to know as a business owner as a borrower of this government loan. So let's get into the reality and make this a sufficient, efficient situation.
So do you want to launch into the update on the United States Treasury's
Yes.
Small Business Credit Initiative?
All right. So when we first started with this, there may have been 1 or 2 states, and now there are 18 states.
There were 4 when it started.
There were 4, and now there are 18 states approved by the U.S. Treasury under the Small Business Credit Initiative. This is an interesting situation for some small business owners, because if you're not in one of the 18 states, we've seen comments, or, well, what can I do?
Yeah.
So what can business owners in states that have not adopted this credit initiative? I have written on comments.
Kim Williams has just joined us. Round of applause for Kim Williams. Jeff is telling us we've got static.
Oh, not again.
Oh, Lordy May.
Oh my gosh. No. I'm going to tell you, can I go off script here to tell you what's the lengths of that we have gone to not have static. We have lavaliers. We have the little things to the lavaliers. We have the receivers to the lavaliers. We've tried lavaliers. We've gone to the different office. We have 2 different mics. We have new mics. We have a mic we haven't even used ever before. It's insane.
We're streaming it on a mobile hotspot. And I think I see why we're having an issue, because the cell service is down to, 1 bar. When I ran a check about 20 minutes ago, we had 3 bars. So sadly, this is the story with Country Living.
Well, I did not, I was not on. Okay. So 18 states. Can we put up a list of the states? More static, some
Here
static.
We go. Can we put up the list of the states?
Yeah. All right. Let us know if it gets better. We have our TV, and it's dragging massively. Okay, so here are the 18 states. Drum roll, please.
Well, we got a little.
We don't have. Okay. All right. So here we go. Let us know in the comments which state you are in. If you are in any one of these states, maybe we'll give you a round of applause. I don't know. What state are you in? Would love to hear. Can't understand you. Tom.
Annie Rosario has joined us.
Stuart reads lips.
Stuart reads lips. Round of applause.
Wildwood, New Jersey. Oh my gosh. Can you hear us? Victor from Wildwood, New Jersey. I grew up going to Wildwood Crest, Topeka Avenue for 30 years. Okay. I am a huge Wildwood, New Jersey fan. Okay.
And Danny's in California.
Okay.
And Tam's in Ohio. Stuart, North Carolina.
Okay. So we got South Carolina, but not North. So here are the states.
Josh is in Washington. Kim Williams, with her zinging purple hair, is in Nevada.
All right, these are the 18 states
that are approved by the United States Treasury so far for the State Small Business Credit Initiative. So, by the way, I just want to make a cynical observation. This is like a COVID-19 type of, help to small businesses. And, of course, the Treasury has only approved 18 states.
I mean, come on.
Sense of urgency, anybody? I mean, did the federal government learn anything from 2.5 years ago? So speaking of 2.5 years ago, so can we put up the link for the U.S. Treasury?
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about the meat and potatoes of tonight's broadcast, which is about bureaucratic bullies that are coming your way. And they're going to be pretty nasty. We're going to talk about that in a moment.
Why is 2020 saying the screen is black? We're seeing we have the laptop.
Yeah, we have it.
We have the iPad and we have our television, and all three are showing our screen. So I'm not sure what that is about.
So put up the link for the U.S. Treasury.
No, I already did.
For U.S. Treasury.
I did.
No, this is the States.
No, it's in the comments.
Oh, it's in the comments? Okay.
That's how people can click on it.
You want to do a couple of things with this U.S. Treasury. Is you want to go to this website and look at the status of your state, whether it's approved or not. And number two is you want to look at what the proposed use of funds is going to be. So, by example, the first 4 states that were approved, Maryland was the very first state that was approved. And what Maryland said they're going to do is they're going to put the money out there to community-based lenders that are going to make it, facilitate loan processes for small business owners. The state of West Virginia, on the other hand, was going to take all their money and drop it into a venture capital bucket. I don't even know how a state is going to run a venture capital thing, but and to me, in my financing background experience and the 2.5 years that we helped folks like you with this program, venture capital, that's not what small businesses need. They need loans. And they need a sense of urgency from the United States Treasury because 18 states, come on, folks, really. All right. So can we jump into the meat and potatoes, Linda Ray, about bullies?
I like meat and potatoes.
I love meat and potatoes. That's why I had a cheeseburger for lunch.
So
she had grilled chicken on a big piece.
So the basics of and I have some banners, but really it's going to be a stream of consciousness and Trevor's insight as a lender for 30 plus years with government loans. The record keeping and the responsibility and what you need to do as a borrower, which entails not only reading the loan agreement, but also understanding what your responsibilities are, because the SBA can ask you anything about how you're operating your business financially, where you're located, if you've moved, and what are the things that I am forgetting that we'll get into?
We've created a thing called the post-closing blueprint, which is available for sale on our website, which what I do is I took all of the essential elements of the loan agreement and put them into plain English and prioritized all of your obligations under the EIDL program. And why this is important is because you, as a business owner who took a COVID-19 disaster loan, have responsibilities, including providing proof on how you used the money.
Yeah. So this is
done. I'm sorry.
Okay. You're not done.
And number
that was
two,
a very pregnant pause.
And I'm not pregnant, and I only play one on TV. And number two is that you're actually required to submit financial statements to the SBA on your own every year.
Did you know that on your own accord, you are responsible for submitting financials? They are telling you how much what you have to do, and they want to know how much you're making, because the issue is they want to make sure that you can repay the loan. All right, take this batter down, because it's actually cutting off my double chin, so I'm okay with that. Okay. So, but hey, John.
John Jones. A round of applause for John Jones in the house.
So.
You're welcome, John. Thank you. It's our pleasure.
So this is one of the reasons why, and if you've been to our channel before, you know, this channel is not about pushing product, promoting product. No, we have in the past sold some services and some blueprints and roadmaps and so on. But
we have a couple of content products we created for you.
But this is why we developed them. And this is what I want to tell you. We have had comments, emails, texts, phone calls of people who would say, I didn't know that, or I didn't get approved because I didn't realize that, fill in the blank. And this was time and time again. This was daily. This was multiple times a day. And now our fear for you is if we're not here to help, because people still call us like, can you help me? And we're like, no, we're out of business. We are not doing consulting. We're not doing one-on-one services. But there are people still curious and wanting to know what's going on. Because you should want to know what's going on.
We got a phone call from someone yesterday. I'm interested in information about the EIDL program, and can you help me?
Thank you.
Thanks, John. So here's the thing with the record keeping. When I say bureaucratic bullying, so again, in my career as a mortgage banker, a direct lender specializing in government loans, the Federal Housing Administration operated under the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, and the Veterans Administration, which is a guaranteed loan for veterans of the armed forces. And so I have seen the other side of compliance requirements and government agents saying to borrowers, or saying to lenders in our case, hey, we need this, we need that, we need this, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. And speaking to these folks, it is very challenging. And that was really what we want to hit on tonight, to prepare you, because it's coming. And President Biden and the Congress now, they've passed a law extending the statute of limitations for fraud prosecutions on the EIDL program and the PPP loan program up to 10 years. It was 5 years. Now it's extended to 10 years.
But let's just put it in layman's terms, because you're the financing guy, you're the mortgage guy, you're the lender, and you're the government loan guy. Okay. So in the real world, how it works is they are going to try to find any deficiencies with someone who is not organized, because they feel like, okay.
Yes, that's exactly the point.
If you're not organized, if you are not astute enough in your own business to know how to organize your documents, your financials, what's going on, your operations, the costs, and all the record keeping that goes along with a business in general, forget about if you have a loan, when you borrow money from the bank, correct me if I'm wrong, if you borrow the money from the bank, in the beginning, when you borrow and you want to get the loan, you tell the bank up front why you want the loan and what the purpose of the loan is.
Right.
Now the SBA is saying, you have to tell us how you spent the money all along the way, all these years, because depending on how much money you got, and if you haven't spent it all, you may be using it progressively, or maybe you budgeted it so it's progressive in nature over a course of a number of years in the future. So the SBA is saying, how are you spending the money? Because they want to protect the fact that they're probably guessing you may default. They already got busted.
Yeah, but I want to really focus more on the fraud aspect of it, because I want to scare the living hell out of everybody who's watching the show. I want to scare the living bejesus out of you. And here's how I'm going to start by doing that.
Well, that's actually not a tactic we usually take.
I know, but it's not sensational for the sake of getting clickbait. It's sensational because I want to throw a splash of cold water in everybody's face and say, you got to really take this very seriously and really prepare for it. So,
but how?
First of all, by example, how many of you spoke to SBA agents during the process? Remember what that was like? Do you remember speaking to those SBA loan officers and the customer service reps? Do you remember what a nightmare experience that was? Okay. What about if next level you had to speak to a loan officer or a loan specialist? Remember the loan specialists who were not loan officers.
Oh, okay? God, yes.
And argue with them about how your 4506T was actually filled out correctly 5 times and you sent it in 17 times. And they kept telling you, but the IRS says you didn't file a tax return. Meanwhile, not only did you file, but you paid income taxes, and they're telling you never filed a tax return, and you must be committing fraud. This is why I'm warning you now. Mm-hmm. They're going to go through your file. They're going to find discrepancies, and because of the bureaucratic bullying mindset, they're going to make you crazy. So you've got to prepare your arguments.
Yeah.
Like you're going to a murder trial.
Well, it's evidence, which evidence equals documentation. And the other thing, too, is the whole bullying mindset, that might be just a tad on the sensational side.
It's not.
But I'm going to say why. If you have a loan and you got one in 2020, and then maybe you suffered through the increase of getting the increase and you finally got the increase, but it took you 18 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years or whatever to get the increase. You know what it took to get the increase of the loan. The problem is they didn't just all of a sudden say, oh, okay, so you got the loan, which means you provided all the intel, you provided all the info, you provided all the documents, so you're good. We're not going to bother you anymore. That's not how it works, because if anything were to happen, that how many hands were on the file.
The thing is that with this new law and with this, which was inspired by this report
and all the fraud.
Okay, it's not all the fraud. That's the problem. You see that right there? That's how the SBA is thinking.
Yes.
Because of this schmuck OIG, whatever his name is, Homer, whatever, this guy who doesn't know the first thing about small business, quite obviously, because I've read his reports, and he expresses opinions which are so far removed from the realm of reality about small businesses. But because he's a bureaucratic mindset and he's looking for all the fraud, he's writing in his OIG report things that are saying, potentially $34 billion of fraudulent loans, potentially. So 34 billion, potentially. So now his report, combined with the legislation extending the statute of limitations to 10 years. What's up, dude?
I miss you, Michael.
What's up? Michael's here. You combine these two factors, I'm telling you, this agency is now going to be like a ferret looking for snakes and rats in the backyard.
Is that what they do? Because I don't know anything
Ferrets
about ferrets.
go after snakes.
Do they?
Yeah, and rats.
But people have them as pets.
Well, they have them as pets, but they're essentially
do they have to have snakes?
No, they're
for the pets.
They're used
as pets for the pet.
Okay, traditionally though. Okay.
Sorry. Who has a ferret? Does anyone have ferrets? Okay. Anywho, okay. All right. Sidebar.
We don't have that sound effect. So they're going to be looking for it.
Tom gets it. You understand?
Okay, they're going to be looking for it, and that's why we're admonishing you, advising you, admiring you from afar, to warn you in advance. Get your ducks in a row now.
Okay.
Buy our post-closing blueprint so you get some basic guidance. Go through your loan agreement if you don't want to buy the post-closing blueprint.
We're having a sale.
And
it's a special, you know what I'm saying? 20% off for those who sign up before tomorrow.
Are we really having a sale?
We are. We're having a sale. We have 20% off.
Oh, that gets a round of applause.
Our post-closing blueprint for everything you never wanted to know about never reading your loan agreement. We have everything about your loan agreement in this blueprint with samples of letters and loan servicing, everything,
Okay.
but everything.
So some other elements of our experience, because everything we have shared since March of 2020 in all of our content and working with our clients on their EIDL loans was based upon real time and real world experience. So let me tell you just the last couple of days. First of all, I want a big shout out to Ryder and Skip, because they had a great video, which you should pop over to the channel and watch it. We don't have a link for it, but they had a great video, which I watched yesterday. I think it's from about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I just watched it for the first time yesterday, where he's talking about the record-keeping nightmare.
Oh, so there.
So apparently the OIG, Office of Inspector General for the SBA, in his report, admonished the SBA for their poor data transfer practices. So apparently when you did your online applications and processed your increases, all that stuff went into a computer file. The servers were not government servers. It was an outside vendor. And as part of closing the program down, SBA was migrating that data over to their servers. But according to the OIG report as presented in Skip's excellent video, SBA screwed it up, and the data migration is not complete. And in fact, not long after watching that video yesterday, I called the SBA because client number one, who is our pizza restaurant client from San Diego, we were working with him back in 2020 to do financing so he could open a second restaurant when COVID shut that down. And he called us up and he said, listen, I've heard about this program called the EIDL. Can you help me with it? I'll pay you for your help because you got all my information, and I've heard the program's a nightmare from my other restaurant friend. He's the guy that got us started. Well, he has a new CPA, and he fired his general manager, and he reached out to us this week, and he said, hey, I got a problem because my CPA needs a whole bunch of information. I know you've got it. So we were able to track down from our files. But his CPA and I discovered that apparently our client didn't even know this because the general manager, who was no longer there, was handling it. Apparently, not only did he get the additional increase to $500,000 that we got him approved for, we got him $150 back in 2020. We got him an additional $350 in 2021. But apparently, someone else, not us, applied for the increase in October after it went up to $2 million. He got another $130,000. So I had to call the SBA yesterday, and I had a wonderful young woman on the phone who was very helpful. She gave me the information that, in fact, he did get an additional increase that we were not aware of. She gave me information on how to obtain copies of the loan modification letters and so forth, which we're going to include in our post-closing blueprint. But here's the really disturbing part, which proves what the OIG and what Skip said in their video. She had no record of our name in the client file. And I asked about a second client who was also from 2020. And in both of those files, we were the original authorized preparer. In other words, we submitted the application. So our names appear on the application as authorized preparer. But she did
not know who we were.
Because she said that information is not in the system. And we know it was in the system as recently as April of this year, because on the second client, I spoke to the SBA multiple times on the phone. And they were like, yes, Mr. Curran, I see you on the file. Okay, so this proves exactly what the OIG and Skip in their video stated. The data migration.
Yeah.
If the SBA doesn't have all of your data, okay, and they're going to come to you because they think you committed fraud,
what are you going to do? How are you going? This is like all hands on deck with the documentation. I mean, I don't want to raise any, but I'm not saying in the comments, please let us know if you've gone through a lawsuit. But if you have, it's all about the documentation. And if you're ever accused, especially by a government agency
who doesn't have complete information,
know shit, because they couldn't even figure out how you got. They didn't even know how to get you the loan in the first place. By the way,
guess who's renting now?
Yeah. Well, listen, and I'm not going to call out this client that called us this week.
Which Michael has an interesting question.
We love him, but the fact that he got more than $500,000 and we had all his documents is astonishing. That he got more, because we know how much money the company made.
Yeah, so that's the other element.
What?
The other element I wanted to bring in here. In my, doing my Sherlock Holmes detective work yesterday, before I called the SBA, what had happened is the CPA sent me the ledger showing the deposits. And, I saw all the treasury. I saw the original $150,000 from 2020 and the additional $350 in 2021, and then the additional $130. I thought, maybe it was something else. Maybe it was restaurant relief, or I didn't think it was the EIDL. So I popped into the client's tax return to do the math, as we were all doing up until May of this year, for all the loans between $500,000 $1 and $2 million, which you had to provide a tax return. The SBA had to calculate based upon your net income, net profit, right? This client only had $39,000 net income in 2019. So there's no way on God's green earth he was eligible for more than $500,000. But somehow he got it. How? We don't know, because we didn't help.
Yeah.
We probably did tell him back then, hey, you're not eligible for more than $500,000 because you don't have sufficient income on the tax return.
Well,
to qualify.
because there's math.
How did he get approved for another $130,000?
This is think about more of the inconsistencies.
And think about an SBA auditor 8 years from now calling up this client, who, by the way, is a wonderful guy. He's a sweet, really decent guy. We love this guy. You would love buying pizza and Italian food in his restaurants. But, when it comes to the organizational side, not as, sharp as he could be. Can you imagine him getting the phone call 8 years from now?
All right.
And then he has to prove the tax return. And then the SBA says, wait a minute, we gave you too much money. I mean, that's a possible scenario. This is why I'm trying to sensationalize this on the show and scare the living hell out of
you just said something that was interesting that I want to point out for those that did not get more money than you should have. Maybe you got less, and maybe you got a lot less. It doesn't mean the SBA is going to not lambaste you in a polite way for the information that proves. The thing that's so interesting is that, and this actually happened all throughout 2021 and 2022, early 2022. How many times I heard everywhere, I don't understand. I got the loan in 2020. Why is this so hard now? I got the loan in 2020, and my documents substantiate that I should get more money because of the 150 cap was lifted. The 500 cap was lifted. How am I not getting more money? Why aren't they just giving it to me?
Do you want me to answer that question? Or you?
No, I'm on a rant. Let me be.
Hold on. That rant gets applause. I love my little box here.
The problem is that the SBA screwed up so badly that you had to pay the price. You are still paying the price for their screw-ups. Even though the percentage of fraud pales in comparison to the amount of money that actually was dispersed, which is...
Well, we don't know that for a fact, but our opinion is that when the smoke clears years from now and they come up with a real number for the fraud compared to the overall benefit that the loan program provided to you folks, the fraud's going to be, in our opinion, a very small percentage.
Right. So, but it's not inconsequential to the folks that didn't get the money they were deserved. there are a lot of people that all they wanted was $27,000 or $43,000 or $127,000 or $257,000.
Which for many people was make or break. It
was make or break.
If I get $43,000, I can survive.
I can
another year.
Yeah, my business isn't going to tank.
We've heard things like that.
We've heard I'm homeless now. We've heard it all. We've heard it all, and it's a travesty. So, all right, let's get into. John Jones. I want to get into John Jones.
No, before we do Q&A, again on this thread, the federal government has a very long memory and has a lot of time on its hands because they are not using the time right now to figure out how to get you money on all of you folks who were not approved as of May 16th.
Right.
I saw a question when I was watching the Skip video yesterday, and someone posed a question, which we have seen here on our show, which was, hey, and we actually talked about it on our last show, why don't they take the money that they're recapturing from the fraudulent loans and give it to us folks who are still waiting to get approved for increases or for basic loans? Exactly. And last thing I'm going to say before you go to Q&A is classic SBA, no communications on this issue whatsoever.
None.
I subscribe to the SBA's newsletters. The crap that I get from them every day, EPA is requesting feedback on a proposed, dam project. What? Isabella Guzman, proud to announce initiative for this and for that and for that. But COVID-19 pandemic is still going on.
Yeah.
And they're just forgotten. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. Take it away.
Okay, John Jones. Right. First of all, is John Jones, are you still with us? Let us know in the comments before we go into the bank return question that we've done a lot of videos on. And I'm telling you, I don't know what to do. I'm very upset about our reception situation because we have done everything with the mics.
Are we still getting issues with static?
Well, I don't know. On my end, my computer is actually doing. You see?
Oh yeah.
You see it here, right? Yeah. It's kind of weird. So I don't know. I don't know if people are still having.
Well, let's pop into John Jones' question.
All right. I feel like freezing up on our end. I don't know if anyone is seeing us freeze up or not. Okay. Yes, John Jones is still here. Okay, good. All right. So we're going to power through this. Reception spectrum be damned. The static is better, but you're lagging a bit. Okay. It's pretty glitchy for Mike. Okay. Damn it to hell. We have changed locations, mics, everything. It's so insane. All right. John Jones, I've watched many of your videos. If you have any recent of new advice, thanks for fielding my questions. Okay.
Well, the only new advice, John, that we have, and this is with what? Bank deposit?
Yeah, the bank. Hold on. Let's go back. Any advice? In bank returns, I submitted a voided check of my new account before I signed the closing documents, but they sent to old account. Okay. So first, John, if you put it in the comments, I'm assuming that you were approved prior to May 16th. Is that an accurate assumption that you are raising this question in the first place?
And secondly, we created a product, the bank, what do we call that product? We created a content product about the bank.
I think it's called Switching Banks.
Switching Banks, okay.
Very sophisticated.
Very sophisticated, creative name. And that product has contact information for the department at SBA that can help you with that. That is all of the latest information we have, and that is as of May. That's as of May.
Well, that was prior to the program shutting down, and it was based on a number of clients who were approved. Their bank account had changed. We had we had notated it, written down, filled it out on the 3501, which is an SBA form for the EIDL loan, and they still got it wrong. So thus then we had to go through a protocol of switching the bank, even though we switched the bank prior to they got approved.
You lost me.
No.
Can you do me a favor? Can you check something on your computer here? Can you just look, how are you getting your internet?
I'm on my hotspot. You want me to go back to the regular?
No, I just want to just make sure you're on your hotspot and not my cell phone, please.
I chose I'm on my cell phone. Okay.
So, all right.
Yeah.
We're completely at a loss other than telling you all that we live in a rural part of Connecticut, and the internet and cell service up here has, of the last 3 to 4 months, become absolutely horrible.
So John Jones was approved in December 2020, and you're saying
2021.
So you're saying you were approved in December 2021, and you never got the money.
They sent it to the wrong account, he said.
So technically, isn't it that the Treasury has it reserved and earmarked for you because you were approved?
Well, I don't know his specifics, so I don't know if the old account, if that bank sent the money back.
Oh, okay.
So.
But see, I think personally for me, and not being a financing person and not being a mortgage or a lender like Trevor, I've just had a very difficult time comprehending how with a bank account, it's an account number and a routing number on a check.
Yeah, but you're talking about the SBA.
Right.
I mean, you literally could not call the SBA to get the accurate time of day. And by the way, you are correct. It is a bank, an account number, and a rounding number. But also, the SBA internally performed a security check. They would do a test on the account. And we saw that many times where accounts, you'd see a notification on the portal, authentication failed for active and valid bank accounts. And so part of that, I tended to blame on the banks themselves, because what I noticed more often than not, authentication failed often was with small community banks. Yeah. And credit unions were the worst.
Yeah. When we had, there was for 26 months, we went through dozens and dozens and dozens of approvals, accounting for about $70 million worth of disaster funding to small businesses throughout the United States. And almost after April 6th of 2021, when they got approved, the standard was, please call your bank and let them know that there is going to be a large deposit.
That was our standard.
Our standard, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's going to be a large deposit. If you're a sole proprietor, it's going to be in your name, or the business that is on your tax return or something, even if it's going into a personal bank account. Like, we had to have all of this. Why is my computer going crazy right now?
Boy. I don't know.
Whoa.
Okay, so I just want to address what John posted here, which is very distressing, because, and the thing you need to be very concerned about, John, you signed the closing documents. They dispersed the money. You're obligated on the loan. You're obligated.
Oh, yeah.
And the payments are supposed to come due starting 30 months after the original EIDL. I don't know what in December 2021, if that was your original loan or if it was an increased modification, but from the date of the original loan, 30 months is the commencement of payments.
And interest is accruing.
And interest is accruing. If you call the SBA right now for a payoff balance,
that's what happened today, right?
You're going to be told. So the pizza client in California, when I called yesterday, she told me the balance on the loan was $630,000, but the current payoff with interest was $659,000.
That's a lot of money It's a lot of money.
It's not a lot of money.
No, it's a lot of money beyond what the actual loan is.
It's not $29,000. It's very reasonable for a 30-year loan, 3.75% interest.
Well, let me tell you, as again, not the financing person, the client then said, "Wait, why is it $659 if the loan is $630?" I mean, when you do $659 minus $630, you're like, okay, I get it with interest, but because you're not paying anything to this loan, toward the loan.
If you think about it, that 29,
and the interest is still accruing.
No, if you think, well, the interest started accruing from the moment the first loan was approved.
I understand that.
But if you think about it, that if he had been making payments for the last 2.5 years, then that interest wouldn't be there.
That's true. And that's the other thing.
That's why the interest is there.
And that's why the deferral was to 30 months, because people were like, all right, well, I'm not quite back to where I was. And the fear of like, I have to pay this loan.
But you could have always made payments on your loan from the day you got it. You could have started making payments.
Yeah.
And
Brendan understands too, because he...
Oh, applause.
Yeah, Brendan understands, because he was like, "Oh my God, I'm terrified of December 1st. When I have to start paying my loan back."
By the way, Danny Rosario, really excellent round of applause for Danny, because this is excellent advice. Which is what I noticed when I called SBA yesterday. They don't go by the application number anymore. They want the disaster loan number. Where do you find that, Linda?
On your loan agreement.
Bada bing, bada boom.
The loan agreement has the top disaster loan, has EIDL application and disaster loan number at the top. I did a little poll. I didn't get a huge response, but there were people that there were people that actually chose the option of, I haven't even downloaded my loan agreement yet.
Oh boy. You were supposed to do that prior to May 16th.
No.
Actually, prior to May 6th.
Come on, folks.
Because on May 6th, the SBA said you have until May 6th to download your loan agreement because we're closing the portal. But
see, the people that come and join us aren't the ones that are committing these infractions, so to speak, because...
Egregious errors, because you've either been watching us fantastic fails,
or you've seen our video. Like John Jones, I've not seen John Jones actually ever comment before, but he says, I've watched your videos before. So we have videos with the tone of, you have to take responsibility. This is your responsibility. I didn't know is not an answer. That's how this goes in the real world when you own a business.
But especially with a federal government loan program.
Yeah. So you have to download your agreement as a basic 101.
You can no longer download it. Now you have to request it. You have to send an email to disaster customer service at sba.gov and request a copy of it. And I don't know how they're going to send it, but that's what I did yesterday for this client.
Because he did not download it.
Well, we had the original loan agreement on file.
Okay. Well, you didn't say that. I did. In my mind, I was like, wait a minute. You had to call for the loan agreement, but you always download the loan agreement.
It wasn't the loan agreement I called about. What I got.
The balance, yeah.
And I got them the modification letters, which is apparently... So for the modification letters, that went to the email that I put in his original application, and he claims he can't find it. I've never had his pizza, but we've heard it's fantastic, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, so look at Stewart. We're swimming head above water because COVID is not over, and it's going to take years to even recover from a 2-year loss. And, there's a lot of people like Brendan who, also 30 months isn't enough time to pay back a loan that took them months and months to get. I know Brendan was with us before you got an increase, I think, Brendan, right? You got an increase. You were hanging out with us and got the increase. But even so, we've been doing live videos since March of 2020. Nobody was watching us then. People weren't really watching us until early 2021. And then add to it, a seasonal business.
Yeah. So let me.
That's a problem.
Let me float this one. Are you ready for this? You sitting down, Linda Ray?
And agree big time. Yep. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah, the bank return.
Little known fact about the COVID-19, about the EIDL program. Hold on.
John Jones, I'm going to put a link to a video that will lead you to other content we did on the switching bank, especially if you don't want to get our blueprint for the switching of the bank. We have tons of content that you can find.
All right. When I read the guidelines for this program way back in 2020, buried in there is a feature where apparently under the program, you can request additional deferments throughout the life.
Yes.
Throughout the life of the
And
loan.
how would you know that, Trevor? Because it's in the loan agreement.
I don't believe it's in the loan agreement.
What?
Actually.
You just busted my whole...
I just said to you, I read it somewhere in the FAQs or the guidelines or somewhere. I don't remember where I read it.
It's
because it's 2.5 years ago.
It's in the loan agreement.
It may very well be in the loan agreement. But you are, from our understanding, you are permitted to request additional deferments. Now, considering the SBA has not migrated your information accurately from the service provider, the data storage service provider, considering the SBA was such a mess to start with on their own without any help from themselves screwing things up with data transfers, I don't even want to. I don't want to imagine how this is going to work out if somebody like, this construction Stewart reaches out and says, "Hey, can I get an additional deferment because I'm still digging out of the COVID-19 hole?" But certainly, if you follow Trevor's golden rule, which is
always apply,
always ask for it. It doesn't hurt to ask.
So, John Jones, I did just put in the comments this link to a YouTube video that was an excerpt from a live show on if you're switching banks, but make sure you read the pinned comment and the description for other links, because switching banks, there might be 1 or 2 videos on switching banks in addition to what I just posted, and or maybe 3 posts we did in our community tab with instructions on how to reach out to the SBA. We also did write a blueprint based on documented proof of accomplishing this task. And so we made it into a blueprint, but that is not free. So there you go. Okay.
All righty. So, John, you're welcome. And do we have any other questions?
I don't think we have any questions. Danny Rosario, thank you for chiming in.
On point, Danny.
Yeah. Thank you for chiming in with all your insight of everything. You must have gone through a ringer of your own, I'm sure, having the detail that you're providing.
So while we're kind of on our rant here about the dysfunction at the SBA, can we remind everyone that Josh is in the house?
Josh is here.
Josh is here.
So, Josh, wait, is Josh still here?
Oh, I'm sure Josh is still here. And Josh has created a petition to be sent to Congress to... Michael, you're too funny. So we encourage you to click on the link, which Linda's going to put up, and sign the petition.
Yeah, but actually this first link is our post-closing blueprint. Because we are having a 20% off sale, I feel like this is not where you buy your Halloween costume for October and early bird special. This is everything you never wanted to know about being a borrower of a government loan, and that is in the comments. You'll find it there. But Josh's petition is at the top of my save to post. Here it is. Got it. All right. So the thing that I love about Josh, are you here? Josh is here. Josh is here. Okay, good.
Josh gets a round of applause because Josh is in the house.
Josh is here. Okay. So posting the link, Josh has accomplished 1,000 signers to this petition. This is huge. because I think when he reached out to us and asked us if we would just mention it, Josh, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you had like maybe 100 signers at that point, maybe. And he's been pushing this. That sounds, but that, you know what I mean. He's been very vigilant in getting the word out on this petition, and he's reached all very important milestones. So we have over 1,000 signers. So grab that in the comments, click on it, go in there, and it's free. Just sign it, because it's how the government has screwed up getting you your money. And John Jones understands. I had the money, I was approved for the money, and I never got my money. And now the program is closed.
Okay. So Skincare CEO posts this about my least favorite internet website
platform.
I just want to give you my feedback on what I think about class action lawsuits against the federal government. It's a waste of time. So, you want to spend your energies? Call Congress people. Call senators, send them letters, sign Josh's petition. The problem today, folks, is in the Congress. They control the purse strings. If you want action, you need to let your senators and your Congress people know. Like Stuart Stewart, who said it's going to take years to crawl out of the hole he's in for the pandemic. You've got to let your political representatives, because lawsuits, all that's going to do is crawl through the courts for years, and you are not going to get the result that you think. Do you really think that listen, the only lawsuit I remember through the whole last 2.5 years was the bunch of knuckleheads who sued the SBA because they were a bunch of white guys who claimed they were being discriminated against because the Restaurant Relief Fund gave priority access for the first round to minorities, females, veterans, LGBTQ, and other underserved communities, because the Congress had recognized that these folks were not getting access to the EIDL funds. And a bunch of knuckleheads sued, and all it did was shut the program down.
And nobody got any money. No one then got any money.
This is what you want? This is why I hate Reddit.
Yeah.
Because this is what they do at Reddit. Blah, 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 yelling and screaming and giving wrong information and misleading information. Senators and Congress people, sign Josh's petition. It is your political representatives, folks, that you've got to talk to and admonish them and tell them we still need this assistance. The pandemic is not over.
The thing is, for those who have not dropped off, because I saw there's a little sliding scale on who's dropped off. And we have somebody who comes on and writes lengthy comments about the SBA and how egregious, and we don't disagree with that at all. But then they go on to, about suing and so on and so forth. But this is the thing. When you are in a position of needing money, when the program was open, and you contacted your politicians, what happened? Maybe you got the money. Maybe you got some money. Some people, we had clients that actually got money after we... Starting in
January, late January, early February this year, we started to see a positive result with the senators' offices.
With the U.S. senators'
Not the Congress people, but with the senators' offices. We had multiple clients get approved with the assistance of those senators.
I just don't... I want to be really wrong. I want Trevor to be wrong on if you have the resources, the time, the energy, and all of it to sue the government, then go for it. Absolutely. If you have nothing else to do, I personally think that you might want to divert your energies towards any possible way that you could potentially generate revenue. you had a business or you have a business and you do something that earns you money. So maybe there's something you can do, to earn money.
Big round of applause for Kez, who just signed Josh's petition.
Thank you,
which is Edgar and Anastasia, two of our former clients. We got them approved after a lot grief,
an hour, a year.
So much.
But for what? For no reason, because their documents and everything was...
Edgar's documents were stellar.
And yet, the fight. And you say that's just getting the IDL. Going through a lawsuit? Has anyone been through a lawsuit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, the only lawsuit that we know that I know of that has shown any result with the SBA was with the Restaurant Relief Fund, and all it did was shut down the program.
So, Danny, what does Danny say? I just can't fix the SBA. I was in someone else's my own. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this was 135,000.
There's so many issues, Danny, as we've spoken about here time and again. So many issues around verifying the tax transcripts with the IRS. Not the least of which was that SBA's 4506T team was filled with nincompoops.
Yeah.
And they acted like gatekeepers. So this is exactly what I was saying about earlier when I'm trying to scare the heck out of you folks with getting ready for the bureaucratic bullies. This team on the transcript team, because they had an internal team whose responsibility was to filter all the transcript requests to the IRS and back from the IRS to the loan processing staff, okay? They would send out emails. We know many of you have seen those emails that said, this is wrong and it will be rejected by the IRS. So even before they sent it to the IRS, they were telling us it was wrong, except there's one problem with my transcript requests. They were 100% accurate because I've been filling these things out since 1996. They said outrageous things like, and this is what I mean about bureaucratic bullying, you must put the title,
oh my God, yeah,
your title as president. You cannot put title as sole member.
Oh shit, hold on.
For an LLC. Meanwhile, I am holding in my file, in my hands, metaphorically speaking, the actual SS4 from the IRS, which is the proof of the EIN filing for this client. It was a car dealership in Pennsylvania. And it says right there, the guy's name, and it says right next to it, sole member. That's the IRS's record. And here's some knucklehead at the SBA was arguing with us. They kept rejecting our form, saying it will be rejected by the IRS. They wouldn't even send it out. That's just one element of the whole tax transcript issue, Danny, which is why folks like you, good folks like you, had such a nightmare. But extrapolating that into the future, why we're telling you folks, get your ducks in a row now. Because when that call comes in or that request for information, you need to anticipate that some idiot is going to try to accuse you of fraud, even though you did everything legit and you did not get a fraudulent loan.
They were accusing tens of thousands of people of fraud.
No, more than that.
Which is why a lot of you are watching this, and many who have reached out to us to ask for assistance on, getting the loan and the program is closed. That's the problem. They were silently accusing folks of fraud. We did a 1-minute video. I did a 1-minute video. I just put the link in the comments of a very seasoned loan officer who shared with Trevor, after talking to dozens and dozens of SBA officers, hundreds, there were a few. He was like, all right, that guy, he's good. That woman, she's good. And one of them said they put an ad on Craigslist. This is what he said. They put an ad on Craigslist.
To hire people. Yeah.
To get your tax return, your transcript.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, there was so much wrong.
Egregiousness. Absolute egregiousness.
Again.
All right. Anyway,
we're reminding you of that because we're telling you, get ready.
Get ready.
The topic of tonight's episode is bureaucratic bullying. And now that the SBA has a fire lit under its butt to go and root out fraud, they're going to look for crimes where crimes never happened. And we want you to be aware of that. And we're warning you to be careful and to be ready for it. So we are anticipating that. Shawan. First of all, round of applause, Shawan. Thanks for joining us. All right. They're currently available in grants funded widows home. Okay, well, we don't talk about Shawan. We thank you for contributing, but we don't talk about grants on our show.
Yeah, we only because
it's just too much.
We know that there are organizations that actually hire grant writers. That's how critical the process is to secure the funds and just how complicated it can be when you're asking for money that you don't have to pay back. So, but Danny did confirm that it was $1,350,000 that he could not get because of posting the wrong transcripts. So,
just to go back to this idea of class action lawsuits, contacting your politicians, we said this recently on one of our other episodes, one of our broadcasts, where I said, listen, what if they do put money back into the program, whether from recaptured fraudulent funds or Congress comes up with allocations, etc.? Are you folks ready for that? Danny, are you ready? Do you have an SBA 3501 filled out and signed? Do you have a 3502? Do you have a 2202? You want to get all that stuff, get it ready now. We created the roadmap to reconsideration back during the
October of 2021.
The height of the craziness. And the whole purpose of that was me sharing with you everything that goes on in my head as an underwriter / processor as I was assisting businesses. And we were successful up to about $70 million.
That we know of
in approvals.
Anyway,
not counting folks like you who watched our shows and who told us later on, hey, I watched your videos and I got approved. Thanks for your help on the video. So we don't know how many tens of millions may have been approved from that. Plus, we had a long period of giving free 15-minute phone consultations where we gave free advice. But we have the roadmap to reconsideration, which you can find on our website if you are not prepared with the forms. The forms you need are included in the roadmap, and we encourage everybody who was not approved as of May 16th to pretend that it's going to be refunded into the program anytime in the near future, and just get your ducks in a row now so that when it happens, you can strike like lightning.
So, Danny, I do want to say...
You're welcome, Stuart.
So Danny said that he got $15,000 and $2,500 just last week, which may have been...
That sounds like grants.
That sounds like grants, but I will tell you, we have always been super transparent. I did put the person in timeout for 5 minutes because I thought it was kind of spammy.
It was definitely spammy.
So that's why...
It was definitely spammy.
So, Danny, thank you for responding to that message, but I did put that person in. We get, I don't know how many times with even this video when it's on replay, how many times I'm going to have to block and report people who are telling you to contact someone on WhatsApp or Instagram.
Well, that's where she was going to go with that, or he, or whatever it was. The key indicators of someone with spammy is, number one, the person comes on to our broadcast, does not say, hi, I'm here, hey, you guys are great, or
not everyone thinks we're great.
Or, or asks a question, or provides an observation on their experience. You know, I tried to get the idea. This is we've done lots and lots of these shows, so we kind of know what we're looking for. And those are the classic, legitimate viewers. When someone comes in and says, hey, there's a whole bunch of grants available, and then follows up by saying, Danny, did you get the grant? That's a spammer.
What Michael just said right there. Right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
First of all, the people that still say contact so-and-so on Instagram, the program's closed.
I saw someone 2 days ago on Facebook saying, actually somebody commented on our videos just a day or two ago. Hey, you know,
Oh, and the other thing, by the way, if we're going to be talking about fraud and all the things with fraud and why the SBA shut the program down because they gave too much money away for, to frauds.
Wait. Wait, big round of applause for Victor.
Yeah.
When you attract the scaries, it means you have reached superstars. Superstar.
Thanks.
Thanks.
No, thanks.
Thanks.
No, thanks.
I interrupted you.
Well, now I'm never going to remember what I said.
This is a thing that she does. Like we're hanging out and
stop interrupting me when I'm interrupting you. Yeah,
and then she forgets like that. Yeah, forgets. And I'm a lot older than she, like considerably older.
Yeah, but you don't have the plumbing I do.
This is my substantially younger hot girlfriend.
You don't have the plumbing I do. So yeah, I think. Oh, I know what I was going to say. There's been someone in the last few weeks that's been spamming our channel that has the Skip logo.
Oh yeah.
And then it says text me at and has a phone number.
Yeah.
And I tweeted the Skip
company
account on Twitter. I was like, dude, your account is like totally being phished and spoofed. So,
Is it spoofed or is it doppelganger? I don't know. There's so many phrases for all the fraud.
All right.
Danny Rosario has all the paperwork they need. There you go. Round of applause. Woo-hoo. I have to say, by the way, the reason I keep saying round of applause is because Linda can't hear it and she doesn't necessarily know that I'm pressing the applause button.
All right. So what does Michael say? Because I love Michael. How many of them propose marriage? I love when other people get married. Thank you. No, thank you. Yeah. All right. Not married. Just we live together and work together.
We're not going to do that description that you usually do.
My non-husband, live-in lover.
Oh, God.
All right. Let's close it out.
Out.
If there's no more questions.
And no more spammers. Hey, thanks, folks, for tuning in. We really do appreciate you supporting us.
We know it's on the East Coast, it's late. What time is it on the East Coast? It's 9:13 p.m. So wherever you are, we hope you enjoy your dinner or your breakfast. If it's breakfast, you definitely did not get any EIDL loan because you're not in the United States. So wherever you're joining us from, thank you. We appreciate it always, always, always. And just hit the like, subscribe, and, watch out for us because we're not going anywhere. We're going to be continuing to provide intel as it comes to us so that you have the most updated information. Breaking news without it being,
Good night, folks.
Kind of spammy.
We'll see you soon.
Ciao.